Yeah. So started module 11 assignment 1. So these are the 4 methods that has been asked you to implement. So remove all of int array. So remove all its elements that are contained in the specified int array, which means I'm passing a parameter integer array and find all the elements in the integer array and remove it from the object. On which object you are going to remove it? Remove all the elements. On which object you are going to remove the elements? The object that the remove all method you are calling it, right? So you are using an object there, which means some object dot remove all of. So in that object you have to remove it. Something like some object dot remove all of. Yes or no? Of some integer arr. Let us assume. So what are the elements? Whatever the elements that are available in arr, that you all have to remove it in some object. Yeah, understood? That's what. Understood or not? Yeah. So the next one is a sublist. Sublist, especially if you see, you have to return a portion of a list. You have to return a portion of a list. That portion is dependent on the start index and end index. Start index and end index. So see, there might be conditions here. One is start and end might be equal. So what do you do if start and end if are equal? Empty list. But we'll see according to the test case how it is. Okay. Start and end might be less than 0. Start might be less than 0 and end might be less than 0. There is one possible condition, right? Because we are not actually, we don't know how many elements are there in the list object. Because how we are calling this list object? Some object dot sublist of start comma end. This is where we are calling it. This is the way we are calling the sublist. And we don't know how many elements are there in the sublist. So that's why what we are trying to do, we are checking the bounds conditions, like whether start and end are equal or start and end are less than 0. Okay. Here start or end, not end. If any of the thing is less than 0, it's a meaningless. We can't retrieve the values from the negative indices, right? Yes or no? So, and the other conditions might be start or end greater than size. What do you mean by size? The number of elements in the list. So in all these cases, basically, are all the conditions satisfied here? Other than these, can we able to return the sublist? Other than this, can we able to return the sublist? Yes or no? Can we return? We can return the sublist. Other than this, do you have any other conditions apart from these 3? Start greater than. Start greater than end. Okay, good. So if start is greater than end, we can't return the list. We can't return the list. Okay. Okay, good. Other things. That's it, right? Max of 4 conditions. So we'll see. What are the others? Equals of. Okay. You have to check. I will pass a parameter. I will pass a parameter to the equals method, so that you have to check how you are going to call this. Some object dot equals of list. Now you have to check this and this are equal or not. The list and the sum object are equal or not. That you have to check for, right? Okay. Now clear? Clear? remove all the elements. Of course, they have given it already by default, right? Remove all the elements. Okay. Can I call remove all here? Where is the remove all? Here. Can I call remove all? But I'm not passing any parameter to the clear method. So we don't know what parameter that I have to pass to remove all. So we can't for the time being, right? Okay, nice, good. So shall we move on? So these are the methods, right? So I've written the code already. So this is the remove all. So how the elements can be now? So we have to iterate through the new array. Okay. For int I equals to 0, I less than new array dot length I plus plus. First of all, check what they are saying. Removes all of its elements that are contained in the specified int array. Okay. So you have to remove all the elements that are contained in the new array from that are contained in the list which specifying based on the parameters, right? Okay. Now what should I do here? First get the index. Index equals to index of, right? Index of new array of I. So I would like to, okay, first of all remove it. So remove of new array of I. That's it. Remove of, oh sorry, index, not array of I. Okay, because we have a method already which we are trying to remove the element based on index, not based on element. Okay, so is that done? No, because we might have the elements like this. So list equals to 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5. So in this case the parameter new array that I want to pass it is 3 2 1 4 4 3 2 1 4 5. Say for example, if I pass this, then what happens? What is the new array of I when I is 0? What is the new array of I when I is 0? 3, right? New array of I, what is new array of I when I is 0? 3. So what I'm trying to do, I'm getting the index of 3. What is index of 3 in the original list? I mean to say this one. 2. Yes or no? So I got it 2. So I'm removing I'm removing the element which is at index 2. But what about the other 3? Are we trying to remove it? No. So for that, what we have to do? After you remove it, again check for the index. While index of, oh sorry, hold on. Index not equals to -1. What actually the index of method returns? If the element is there, what actually the index of method returns? Gautam. So it returns the value at a particular index, huh? Hemant. Okay, go to the index of method once. What we are trying to return from the index of methods? Index position, not the value. Why you are saying it is a value? So you are not following. Okay, that's fine. Be careful about the method signatures and method specifications. Otherwise, misunderstanding ఉంటుంది, right? Okay. So now I got an index. Once you got an index, I'm checking whether it is equals to -1 or not. If it is equals to -1, there is no element. If it is not equals to -1, there is an element. Now try to remove the element. Try to remove the element and then try finding out one more element, like if it is there, new array of I. Understood? So what is the element at 0th index in new array? 3. Now what you are trying to do here? You are trying to get the index of 3 from the main list. So if you have 3, so what do you get? The index 2. Yes or no? The index 2. So 2 is not equals to -1, so I'm trying to remove the element at a particular index 2. And then I'm trying to find out the same element again in the list. If it is there, you will get an index. If it is not there, -1. It returns -1. So while index not equals to -1 in the sense, what happens? There is no element. So automatically it goes to the second element from the new array, which is nothing but 2. Which is nothing but 2. Able to follow? Okay. Now, so this is all about, what do you call? removeAll. And finally, do we need to return anything? No, not required. Okay. Now, based on this example, what are the remaining elements in the new array? Sorry, in the list. Based on this example, empty only, right? Because 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 4, 5. If you remove all the occurrences of 3, all the occurrences of 2, and etc., so it is going to be empty. Say for example, if you have one more element here, something like 11, 11 will be removed. Only 11 will be there in the list. Okay, good, nice. We'll see the sublist later, and we'll clear off these simple functions. Okay, okay. Or sublist, which one you want? Equals, clear, which one you want? Clear. So clear something like, what do you do? Size equals to, oh no, size equals to 0. And then, do you need to remove all the elements? No. Say for example, is your ListADT supports resize? If the list array is full, or if the list is full? Yes, right? Yes. Because let's go back and check once. Yes, you have a resize method, which means it keeps on incrementing whenever it is required, whenever the space is required. Say for example, if I'm trying to add so many elements, what happens to the list array? It keeps on increasing its size, right? It keeps on. Say for example, for the first time I have added 10 elements. What is the next one? I'm trying to add 10 more elements. So what is the size of the list? 20. I want to try to add 40 elements now. The list size is going to be 80. So after that, I want to try to add one more element. Not able to follow? Okay. For the first time, I have added 10 elements. So what is the size of the list? 10. What is the initial length of the list? 10, according to our example. Okay. Now I want to try to add 11th element. So what is it going to be the length of the list? Double the size of, right? So 10 into 2, 20. So length of the array is going to be 20. Now I have added 9 elements. What is the size of the array?
40.
No, earlier it is 11 elements. I have added 9 more. So 20. Length of the array? 20. Both are the same. I want to try to add one more element. So how much is the length of the array now? 40. Okay. So 21st element has been added. Now I want to try to add 19 elements. 19. So the size is going to be 40. The length is also going to be 40. There is no change. But if I try to add one more element, it doubles. So it is going to be 80. And it goes on, right? And it goes on. Say for example, at some point of time, I want to clear the array. What is the length of the array initially? That we, of course, in the previous example that we discussed. No. The resized array length, 80. The resized array length is 80. So we are reserving the space in the memory. And we are not removing it, right? Yes or no? Of course, size equals to 0 will simplify your problem. So I want to make it something like, what is the actual initial length of the array? How many elements you can store? Initially when you create an object, 10. So now what you do is simply list equals to new int of 10. We just do that. So that 80 element array will be removed and a new array will be created for it. Where list is an array of type int. Just like that you do in the constructor, but we can't invoke the constructor now at this point of time, right? Yes or no? Got it? Okay. I mean to say this statement, whenever you call the clear, the size by default should be going to be 0. Okay, so that it points to the first. It points to the first index of the array element. Okay, now whenever I say list equals a new int of 10, whatever the space that I have created earlier, all that space will be detached to from the memory, from the program. Now I am creating a new space which contains only 10 elements, a room for 10 elements. Okay, that all memory will be taken care by JVM. That all memory will be cleared by the JVM. Okay, understood? All of you. So this is what you have to do. Earlier we discussed it in a simple way, but according to the analysis part, you have to do this. Okay. Say for example, you have a room for 80 elements earlier, and I try to add one more element. So what is going to be the size? 160, right? 160. If I try to add 160 first element, it's going to be 320. So see how it is increasing it. Okay, it increases based on 2 powers, right? Okay, so that's the story. That's why you have to say list equals to new int of 10. So automatically we are clearing that space and reserving a space for 10 elements now. Why can't I create an object here? If you create an object, this is going to be a new object again. So instead, you should not do that. You should not do that. Object in the sense I am talking about the ListADT. I am talking about the class. But here I have made it for the only array, not all, right? Understood? Clear or not? Okay.
Whenever you clear the list, it keeps using the same old object for the list. But the list size will be
But the list size will be changed. The list size is going to be now 10. That's what. Now equals. What I told you, like equals in the sense, you have a parameter here, list. Right? You have a parameter called list. Now what should do? Now this, you tell me the code. I'm not going to write anything. How you are calling the equals method? From the main. Okay, we'll see a test case so that you'll get clarity. Huh? We'll see a test case so that we'll get a clarity. Is there equals here? No. Is there an equals here? No, we'll go with the first test case. Yeah, it is here. Now see. So if you observe, what is the add here? Add 5, which means what are all the elements in the list now? 5. If you execute this, 5 minus 1. What is the size? 2. Here, 5 minus 1, 0. Here, so 5 minus 1, 0, 99. Okay. Now print. Whenever you say print, all those elements are going to be printed. Now, are you adding any elements other than this? Okay. No. So here equals of 1, 2, 3, 4, which means this 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to be an array here again. This 1, 2, 3, 4 is going to be an array. Okay, so now we'll check in the main method how they are trying to pass this. Oh, they are creating an object for list. They are creating an object for list, and what are the parameters that you passed? All these elements will be added to the new list. All these elements will be added to the new list, and they are passing as a new list here again. So what is L and what is L2? L is the actual object, L2 is the L is this one and L2 is this one. Understood? Okay, now what happens? Now tell me. So equals, now it comes into the equals. So you tell me now, what should do? Now L2 is passed to list, right? Then how L is referred? Khyati. How L is referred? Gautam. I have said from the main, I have said L dot equals of L2. Yes or no? Now you tell me, what is how L can be referred in the equals and how L2 can be referred in the equals? Okay, L can be referred as this. How L2 can be referred? List. List only, right? Okay. Now, how can I write this equals method? And here, remember, all of you, I forgot to tell you one thing. The order of elements is also important. Not only the elements, the order of elements is also important. So, if my list contains 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm checking with 1, 2, 3, 4 equals, so they should be equal. Now my list contains 1, 2, 3, 4, and the parameter that I am trying to pass is 3, 1, 2, 4. They are not equal. So order of elements is also equal. Okay. Now how are you going to write these equals? Sort both the lists? No. Sort you should not do. Okay, of course, that might be the one other way. Of course, sort all the elements, but you should not sort it according to the how can I say, the documentation or the requirement. Right. So first try to parse it. Try to iterate it. I less than list dot length. Oh, list dot length or list dot size. I plus plus. Right. If list of I equals of this dot list of I. Done or not? Done or not? No, list. This should be list dot list of I. Do you think this is a correct code? No, for sure. Here, list is an object. What is the attribute that is inside the list? List again, right? List dot list of I refers to that. So no. Or what do you have to say? List dot get of I. Get of I. So get of I returns the element at a particular index. Yes or no? So this dot, this also should be modified accordingly. This dot get of I. Okay. If they both are equal, if any of them is not equal, return false. Otherwise, return true. Okay. Okay. Instead, you can also do the other one. String s1 equals to this dot to string of. So what to string returns? The string version of the object. Yes or no? So it returns all the elements in a specified format. And what I try to do is string s2 equals to list dot to string. Now what I will get? So I have two strings. Now directly compare each of them. Okay. So if s1 dot equals of s2, then automatically if they both are equal, return true, otherwise return false, otherwise return false. So which one is the best one? The other one, right? So this would be the best one, which can be done simple, right? Yes or no? Now can you modify these statements? You can directly say return this dot toString of dot equals of list dot toString of, and in one statement. Okay, simple. So if they both are equal, it returns true. So I'm finally returning true from the equals. If they both are not equal, it returns false. So return false from the method. Now earlier what I've tried doing it, so you didn't like this code, right? So I'm removing it. Yes or no? This is a code, and this is one other way of writing it. Okay, instead of, so this dot toString, you'll get a string here. This dot toString, you'll get a string. List dot toString, you'll get a string. And I'm directly comparing something like s1 dot equals of s2. So I'm trying to do the same here. Assume that this is s1 dot equals of, assume that this is s2. Yes or no? And directly return it, whatever it is. And how many of you didn't understand this? If you didn't understand this, I'll keep this code. How many of you didn't understand this? Is it okay? So let us keep this code. I don't remove this, so you can use it. Okay. Now next one, the sublist. Is there any other pending? 1, 2, 3, and removal is done, right? Okay. Now sublist. This is a very big thing. So we have already written the cases, right? So what are all the cases? So these 4. So in this case, what do you do? We already discussed these cases, right? Now simple. Like start can be equals to end. That's what we have made it, right? Now remove all this part. Yes or no? So this might be one case. And what is the other one? If start or end less than 0, right? Start less than 0 or end less than 0. So this is one case. Yes or no? What about the other one? If start greater than 0 or end 0 or size, not 0. This should be size. Okay, start greater than size or end greater than size. This is one way of doing it. Okay, if start greater than end, this is one way of doing it. Now what should do in all these cases? So here we have given it. The first parameter indicates, read this. The first parameter indicates the start index and the second parameter indicates the end index. So return null. Okay, print index out of bounds exception if start and end are invalid. How do we know they are invalid? So they have given some examples. Look at it. Of course, it is not there in your code. I'll give it to you later. Okay. So take these examples. Okay. Now example 1. 3 greater than 2. Sorry, 3 and 2. What is the start index? 3. What is the end index? 2. Can you able to return the sublist? No. So what do you have to say? Index out of bounds. Okay. Now, what is the other one? -1, -1. What is the start index? -1. End index? -1. They both are negative. So in that case also you just return index out of bounds exception. Okay. Given an empty list. Say for example, if you have an empty list and you try to get the sublist. So what are all the cases you might get? 1 and 3. Basically, start index is 1, end index is 3. Actually, according to the sublist operations, 1 and 3 are acceptable. But they are not acceptable in which case? If the list is empty. So you can't do any, you can't get a sublist of it, right? So that's one possible case. The other case, when both are 0. If start index is 0 and end index is 0, or if any one of them is 0, what happens? Can you get an element from the sublist which is an empty list? No, obviously, right? So the size should be greater than 0, always, remember. And if start and end are equal, okay, there is one more condition. What is that condition? Okay, size is 0. Size is greater than 0, which means there are so many elements are there. So, or it can have only one element, say for example. Okay. So let us assume list contains only one element. So what is the size when the list contains only one element? The size is 1. So, and at that point, if start and end are equal, start and రెండు equal అయినాయి అనుకోండి, what do you get? Return empty list. So at the time, return the empty list. Okay. So this is what the conditions they have given. Okay, let's try to see. So in this case, what should I print? Index out of bounds exception, right? And oh, if both are equal, empty list, right? Okay. If both are equal, return empty list and return null. -1, -1. They both are equal, so that's why I'm trying to return empty. Okay, do one thing. So we'll keep this at the end because or here. We'll see this. If start and end are less than 0, if any one of them is less than 0, println. Oh, out of bounds exception, right? Is that spell correct? Index out of bounds exception, correct. And return null. Return null by default. If any one of them is less than 0, return null by specifying index out of bounds exception. If start is greater than size or end is greater than size, if any one of them is greater than size, you can't return the sublist at that point. Okay, let us take an example for this. So list equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and when you call the sublist of 2, 5, is this valid? Is this valid? Is it valid enough? What is the size of the list here? 5. So what is the sublist? 2, 5. Can you able to return the sublist in this case? Endindex should be exclusive. So 2, 3, 4. So which means you'll get 3 elements there. Yes or no? The elements which are indices at 2, 3, 4. You can able to return it. But say for example, when the size is 6, can you able to return the elements from the from the list? No, because the end index is greater than size. It can be equal. End index can be equal to the size, but end index cannot be greater than size. So that's what. So in this case, or say for example, this is 3 or 4 and this is 6. Is it possible to return a sublist? No. So both are wrong. And let us assume this is the case. Okay, so just copy and paste it. Those two statements. Okay. What about this one? What about this one? Let us assume 4, 2. What happens? Can you able to return the sublist? No. So simply what do you do? Same copy and paste these two. In that case also you can't return it. So what are the other things? Start equals to end. Say for example.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yes sir.
24, 37, 37, 39, roll number 13, 44, roll number 44, student, 59, 76, 81, 80, sorry, 81, 81, 89, 93, 96, 98, 108,
What happens? Of course, you have a list, but here the start and end indices are same. Can you able to return the list? No. The list is going to be empty in this case. Okay. Say for example, if you have -2 and -2, what happens in this case? But this case has already been handled over here. Index out of bounds exception, right? Say let us assume you have this case also. Is it possible to return a list if they are equal? No, right? No. So, did we handle that case? We are handling it here. Of course, you have elements, but if they both are zeros, you can't return it. Say, let us assume you don't have elements and you're trying to return. Is it possible? Okay, now what is the size of the list here? Empty. Okay, so empty in the sense, so take this one. Which one? This one. Oh, this also doesn't work. 0 greater than 0, which is false. So automatically it comes here. Is start greater than end? No. So it comes here. So automatically it returns an empty list, even though it has an empty list. So you have an empty list and you're trying to say 0, 0. So what is going to be? Empty. Return empty in that case. But I think it should be index out of bounds. Let's see. We don't know. We'll see the test case and we'll write it accordingly. Okay. See here. Yeah, this also should be out of bounds, right? Example 4, if you see 0, 0 is also an out of bounds. Is also an out of bounds. So how this case is handled here? No, if the given list is an empty. 0, 0 is out of bounds. So where we are trying to check that
The first case, you're just saying start is less than 0. You can keep less than or equal to 0.
less than or equals to 0, then
You should take out of bounds, right?
no. If you say less than or equals to 0, what happens there?
Minus.
Say for example, if you give 0 less than or equals to 0, you'll get an index out of bounds, but that's a correct index, right? That's the problem there. Here I think start greater than equals to size or end greater than equals to size. What happens there? Or start greater than size, 0 greater than 0, which is false, and end 0 greater than 0, which is false. So come down. Start greater than end, 0 greater than 0. Is it condition true or false? False. Here in this case, if start equals to end, both are equal. So you're trying to return an empty list. Empty list. Of course, we are trying to say empty, but returning null. But according to the explanation here, what is that?
This key is empty list.
Given an empty list, 0, comma 0 should say out of bounds. So we'll handle separately this, okay? Or just hold on. Did we handle it here? I have written it somewhere. Oh, that is empty list only here. So this should not be empty. You have to say it something like index out of bounds exception, right? And return null. And return null. This is something like correct. Now say for example, we'll handle this case now. Is if size is greater than 0, okay, which means we have some elements. And if the start and end are equal, we have some elements, but start and end are equal. What should do? Return empty list. So we'll handle that case. So try to create an object for list because we are trying to return a list object from the sublist, right? From the sublist. So list LST equals to new list of. So can I say parameter here? Can I say end minus start? What do you mean by this?
Should be greater than
No, and it's not like end should be greater than start, but it's like, okay, what is the size of the new list or sublist? What should be the size of the sublist? Okay, see here. List equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I have called sublist of 2, 5. So how many elements are going to be in the sublist? 3 elements, right? 5 minus 2, 3. So that's what I'm trying to say. 5 minus 2, 3. So whenever you say 3, it automatically calls a parameterized constructor. So if you see the parameterized constructor, go here. This one only, right? Because we are creating an object there, which is a new one. Okay. So what is the initial capacity here? End minus start, which is 3 in our case. Okay. Now go here. So I have created an array with depends based on 3. So mark this as comments. Let us assume we can also have this kind of thing, right? 0, 0. What happens here in this case? What happens in this case? So this is this case, right? If size is greater than 0, and start and end are equal. So what happens in this case? End minus start is going to be?
0.
It can be 0, 0, it can be 5, 5, it can be 100, 100, or it can be k, k. K minus k is 0. So we are calling a parameterized constructor with a 0 capacity. So the list is going to be, the array size is going to be 0. So don't worry. Yes or no? Now for iterate through the list. I equals to start, I less than end, I plus plus. Now LST dot add of, what do you say? LST dot add of this dot get of file, and that's it. And finally return LST. Finally return LST. Done. So this is the code. Done. Any other issues you have? No? Any questions you have? That's it, right? Okay. No questions at all of you? Hemant? No. Prasad? What are you trying to do there? I don't know. Hmm? So done. So shall we close this? Run it, but before that. Okay. So this is assignment 1. So I have the files here. Run with eval. Oh, this is not solution.java. List.java. So 3 out of 3 test cases passed. So check style errors, I think you can resolve by your own. Yeah? Done? So go with the assignment 2 ls. Right, so this is done, right? Okay. Now the same story, there is nothing more new, right? Contains already there, index of already there, remove all. The same story. So, but you have to handle with E here. But you have to handle with E. The parameter that you have to try to pass is E, element array. And here, start and end. So this is also going to be the same. Okay, so I have written it clearly here. Start less than 0, end less than 0. If start is greater than size or end is greater than size and start equals to end, I've written it separate. Of course, you also can write it like this. That's not a problem. But which one is more readable? Which one is more readable? This one or this one? This one, right? No? Generics? The code which is in Generics, huh? Oh, okay. The code which is in Generics is more readable. Because you're handling each and every case clearly. Okay? We might get confusion for sure. Okay, start is less than 0 or end is less than 0. Generally, the thinking should go in either of one. Either of start or end can be less than 0. But at some point of time, we try to calculate again like, okay, start should be less than 0 and end should be less than 0. So you'll get something like a confusion there. So instead, it's better you write like this. Okay, handle each and every case separately. Don't hesitate writing many number of lines of code. Okay, so if you write, it will be good. I mean to say, like each and every case, handle each and every case separately. Okay. Now equals also the same. Return this dot equals of this dot toString dot equals of list dot toString. And clear? Of course, I missed it. So list equals to new new int. This is an element array, right? E, of course, I told you. E of object of 10, right? Object of 10. So finally, I'm typecasting it to E and returning and trying to store it in list. So if you have a confusion with the syntax, go with the parameterized constructor or a general constructor. Got it? Yes or no? Okay. And done. Of course, they're also the same. So try to execute it. Oh, there was an error. E new object of 10. What is that? Object cannot be applied to given types. Oh, this should be square brackets, not. This is an array. Okay, whenever you try to give a parenthesis, it calls a constructor. So the object's constructor doesn't have any parameter. So that's why it's throwing an error. Okay, good. Okay, started executing. There are no errors. So all the test cases have been passed. They are same, nothing new. So this will get successfully executed when? Hmm?
If you check the doc strings.
Yeah, check the doc strings clearly and execute it. Of course, there was an error before that. Okay, so even the equals of get also executed successfully. There will be no problem, even though you give a student object or an employee object or an animal object, because in each and every class you are going to override toString method. So whenever you say object or toString, it returns the toString method. So there won't be any problem. Okay. Okay. Finished? Done? Right. So if you have any questions, please ask me now itself. So here, how you are going to try to create the object? Can I say directly list sublist equals to? Of course, I'm talking about the sublist. Can I say? Do I need to say like this? Yes. Yes. Because how I'm trying to create a sublist? How I'm trying to create a list with an element array. And if you observe carefully, this is the way that you have to create it. So whenever you say this one, list sublist equals to new list of end minus start. So automatically it calls a constructor, and the constructor will be handling it. Parameters constructor will be handling it, creating object array or element array. That's what. And we also see the solution.java. Hold on. So this is assignment 2, solution.java. Right, good. So what they're trying to do? Tokens of add, size, get. Oh, they have execute list double. Of course, they have so many. I mean to say like double, integer, float, character, string, student, etc. They have written each and everything as a method. So this is execute list float. Execute the list based on float. This is execute the list based on string, and this is execute the string based on student. Okay, and this is a main method. Of course, for each and everything they are trying to write one thing. Simply they are calling a function. Yes or no? Yes or no? Of course, this is what exactly we have did yesterday, right? There is nothing new. Finished? So shall we stop? Okay.